The reality is that when someone is so depraved to harm you or harm a woman in that way, they don't care about a protective order.
Good evening, I'm Tan Trung.
And I'm Natalie Shepard. A recent murder-suicide on the North Shore involving domestic violence raises questions about the effectiveness of protective orders.
Do they really work? And what should be done to help the victims who have nowhere else to turn? Krystle Jackman spoke with special advocates about the issue. She joins us live now with more. Good evening, Krystle.
Good evening, Ton and Natalie. Yes, and those advocates say it's always heartbreaking when they hear yet another person who is a victim of domestic violence has lost their life because of their abuser. And they say more needs to be done, not only on the state level, but on the local level to protect these people.
The death of Krystle Landor hurts her family in so many ways, mainly because in the eyes of the law, she did everything right.
She got restraining orders. She got cameras at her house.
Convicted of felony with a gun and a mental patient. 4 days, he back out on the street. Couple weeks, he come back and kill my daughter.
Landor was shot to death this weekend by her ex-boyfriend, John Malveaux. Just minutes before her death, she called 911 for help, telling authorities she spotted Malveaux in a truck near her home. Sadly, Landor's story is all too common.
In all your years as a public defender and now dealing with criminal justice and policies now, how often do those cases deal with domestic violence?
I was in municipal court for 2.5 years, and 75% of my practice was domestic violence.
Nia Weeks is policy director with Women with a Vision. She says oftentimes a protective order doesn't mean anything to those who want to hurt people they claim to love.
Protective orders, laws, all of that, it is out the window. It doesn't mean anything to them because their depravity supersedes.
Representative Helena Moreno spearheaded laws to place firearm restrictions on people under protective order and those convicted of domestic abuse battery. The problem, Moreno says, is making sure they're abiding by these rules.
Many of these individuals keep their firearm. What we never have been able to go far enough in the legislature is to finally do that firearm transfer, to make sure that those firearms are either turned over to police immediately or divested of these firearms.
Both women say more changes need to be made, or they fear we'll see more victims like Landor.
We need to keep the heat on our criminal justice system to make sure that these cases are taken seriously.
And Representative Moreno says only 15 states in the country allow that people who are under a protective order or have been convicted of that issue could remove their firearms from themselves. Reporting live in the French Quarter, I'm Krystle Jackman, Eyewitness News.